Ladies and gentlemen, Six Fig Stock Trader here from YouTube, and in today's video, folks, we are going to be talking about Nervos Networks, CKB. But before we do, check me out on Twitter. This is where I'm dropping all the links to upcoming live streams and videos. This is where I drop charts when I cannot make it to YouTube to create you guys a video. So on to the charts. What are we seeing right now with CKB? Well, we're seeing on the weekly chart is possibly a nice bounce off the 50 moving average. And I just want to show you guys what happened the last time we bounced off the 50 moving average. So we ended up running 173% to the upside. Now, I do think that it is possible for CKB to maybe run back up and hit these all-time highs somewhere in there, which would sit us at about 140% increase from where we're currently at. I'm hopeful, folks. And I do want to just illustrate once again how lucky we actually are with CKB and how lucky that Bitcoin didn't pull us below this trend line. You can see this is about the fifth confirmation we've had of this upward trend. So as long as price can keep bouncing up this upward trend, we will see CKB do wonderful things here in the future. The thing that gets me excited about this trend line is it started November of 2020. So this is really coming up on a year and a half of just solid gains without really any serious consequence to the upward momentum that we have. So with that said, weekly chart, possibly going to get a bounce here. I'm hoping the next candle we see on the weekly is some sort of spinning top or doji star, something like that. I do think that it might be another week or two before we can clear up above this Ichimoku cloud. One thing I do like is that on the weekly, it's a really thin cloud. So that usually indicates that it's going to be a lot easier to pass through. So let's look at this thing on a daily chart and just kind of see how things sit. So on the daily chart, which is probably one of the better charts to be trading on, we can see that this thing has a clean bounce off the 200 moving average. I do think that we will experience a little bit of problems right around this 50 moving average. And then on the daily chart, there is a thicker cloud that I'm not really liking. So if we see price action kind of wander up to this 50 and get rejected, and we see something like that, my biggest fear right now is that we might possibly form some sort of symmetrical triangle, and off this nasty bear leg, it might be a way for the market to force price action downwards. So by default, this could be a nice push or shove to the downside. So what I'm hoping happens here is that we end up getting, a nice cup and handle that could possibly form here. I did notice that there is slightly a nice setup for a possible head and shoulders pattern to boot. So whether or not this squeezes into a symmetrical triangle to really polish this neckline on this inverse head and shoulders, potential inverse head and shoulders, I should say, is totally, this is going to be, I'm going to say this. The beginning of February is really going to test price action and commitment to the upside. I'm just noticing that right now. So with that said, let's really look at some time sequence here, see if maybe we can pick out when the next Fibonacci time sequence is to pay attention to. January 24th. Now, keep your eyes open for January 24th. We don't know what's going to happen, but in hindsight, the last time sequence identified this huge momentum shift here. So whether or not we're going to see price action wander up here, maybe meet this 50 moving average, and then reverse down to this trend line, nobody knows. We're going to have to just play the waiting game. It could mean that there's a reversal down here. It could mean there's a reversal up here. I like to kind of wait versus speculate on actual price movements because it can mean the difference of, 5, 10, 20% of your portfolio getting wiped out by picking the wrong way. So there is something that I also want to just illustrate here too, is that there could be, you could almost make the argument that there might even be some sort of descending triangle that could be in play here. And we might see price action kind of do one of these things, try bouncing out that way, or it could just fall out the bottom. This is, and I know I'm sounding like a loose cannon doing this TA today. There's just so many possibilities within this short time frame of the next 10 to 14, 15 days on which way CKB goes. So I'm just trying to prepare you guys for whatever it is that might be coming. Of course, this is going to be heavily contingent on what Bitcoin is doing. So let's just take a quick peek at Bitcoin. So here it is. One thing that I've kind of been looking at with Bitcoin is that if there is this solid bounce to the upside, and let's just say we get some new all-time highs, again, like we saw last April, let's just say this thing runs up to 75,000, somewhere in there, we do have a rising wedge on the table, and this is this will be a year-long rising wedge for that matter. So keep that in mind. And when rising wedges of this caliber really break down, they produce tragic results. So I do think that if we look at this weekly chart, I might be able to illustrate this a little better for you. So bear with me. I'm just waiting on TradingView. And you can see that if we kind of skewer this 200 moving average, we could see that, okay, we could expect price to maybe come down to wherever this is for a bounce, maybe mid-20s, low 30,000s if that does happen. But right now, I've heard a lot of people saying that Bitcoin is in a bear market, and it's not in a bear market as of yet. Well, how do I know this? Simply because we are still above this green Ichimoku cloud. If we start trading underneath this cloud, that's when we're in a bearish market. So like here, once we really cemented our position in the 2017-2018 run, price action slips underneath the cloud, it's over. So that is something to be careful of. I do think that if price action goes below $37,428 or somewhere in there, we could possibly be in a bear market at that time. So with that said, I do think that there is a chance for Bitcoin here to kind of rebound and test these low 70,000s, these $75,000 level. Personally, I think we'll see more along the lines of a $74,000 Bitcoin, simply because everybody's got their eye on $75,000. It's going to take a lot of convincing to get somebody to buy a $75,000 Bitcoin. Just my 2 cents. So, folks, I hope that this video helped you guys out. Big shout out to all the Patreons. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel, it's $3 a month. It'll get your name, YouTube channel name, or business name up on this banner. We'll see you guys all on the next video.